Now at 5, proposed legislation in Missouri would make driver's ed courses a requirement to get a license.
Pfizer releases new data about its booster shot and the new Omicron variant. I'm Natalie Brand with the details, plus the push by some lawmakers to try and challenge President Biden's vaccine rule for workers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri teens could be required to take driver's ed before hitting the road. This is KOAM News at 5. A Missouri lawmaker has pre-filed legislation that would require anyone 18 and younger trying to get their license to complete a driver's ed course approved by the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. A driver's ed instructor with the Alliance of Southwest Missouri says he's seen a decrease in young drivers' skills since driver's ed was no longer mandatory.
If that bill passed in the state of Missouri, just the skill level I've seen in the teenagers from the time it was mandatory to the time it was not any longer has dramatically decreased.
Currently, it's only recommended that new drivers looking to obtain a license complete a driver's ed program. Tonight at 6, we're going to have more on how Vox hopes this legislation could help young drivers. We'll also give you a chance to weigh in on the legislation. Some Miami, Oklahoma schools went into lockdown today. Authorities tell us someone near one of the schools was shooting a gun. No one was hurt. The suspect is in custody. Wilson, Nichols, and Miami Academy all went under shelter-in-place orders. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a little bit nicer of a day for us today. Temperatures starting to warm back up just a bit. We had quite a bit of sunshine across the region, even though we are going to get clouds, which are going to increase during the overnight hours for us tonight. Our first weak little wave is pushing in, so we'll get some clouds, maybe a random sprinkle late tonight into tomorrow morning, but at least temperatures warmer for us today. We're sitting into the upper 40s to near 50 degrees in our western counties and then down through northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Southerly winds kind of helping our temperatures out just a bit. The winds are really going to increase tonight into tomorrow. We're going to slide back through the 40s, but we're not going to drop off too much more from where we are sitting at this point in time. We're going to continue to warm up. We're going to look at that coming up in just a bit.
See you then. Thanks, Doug. The U.S. House passed a bill late last night that would pave the way for an increase in the federal debt ceiling. Now goes to the Senate, then, if approved, to the president. Then Congress could vote on raising the limit. The bill would provide a one-time fast-track process for the Senate to raise the borrowing limit with a simple majority vote, allowing Democrats to avoid a Republican filibuster. The legislation requires Congress to specify the exact dollar amount of a new national debt limit, likely more than $30 trillion. The U.S. is quickly approaching 50 million COVID cases since the virus first appeared almost 2 years ago. But promising new data is revealing how well one vaccine may work to fight the Omicron strain. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill, where Senate Republicans are trying to block a federal vaccine mandate from taking effect.
But if you get the booster, you're really in good shape.
President Biden welcomed new data about Pfizer's coronavirus booster shot, which found it increases protection 25-fold against the Omicron variant compared to the initial 2 doses.
If ever there was a clarion call for people who are not vaccinated to get vaccinated and those who are vaccinated fully to get boosted, the new challenge with the Omicron variant clearly is that.
Cases of the highly contagious strain first detected in South Africa have now been reported in at least 20 U.S. states. Scientists say initial data shows the Omicron variant is less severe than the Delta variant. Delta is still driving a surge of infections and hospitalizations nationwide.
Unless we really double down on what we're doing, we could see an increased spike that goes even higher than that as we get deeper into December and January.
While the Omicron variant has sparked a rise in booster shots and vaccinations, a group of lawmakers wants to try and block President Biden's vaccinate or test rule, which would apply to millions of American workers. Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and John Tester have said they support the Republican measure, which is expected to come up for a vote Wednesday.
I'm vaccinated. I encourage people to get vaccinated. But I don't believe that that's something the federal government can mandate.
The effort is largely symbolic since it's unlikely to come up for a vote in the House.
Our Republican friends are going to come to the floor to push an anti-science, anti-vaccine proposal.
The vaccine requirement for businesses of 100 or more employees is also facing legal challenges in the courts. Natalie Brent, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Pfizer says it plans to work on an Omicron-specific vaccine which could be available by March if needed. As the Biden administration attempts to find a diplomatic solution to rising tensions between Ukraine and Russia, the U.S. military is helping Ukrainian troops prepare for a possible invasion by Russia. U.S. advisors are working to boost Ukraine's air defenses and inspect their air force. President Biden yesterday warned Russia's president that the U.S. could provide military equipment to Ukraine if Russia invades. Still ahead, increasing job openings.
Job openings are near a record high while millions of Americans are quitting their jobs. I'm Bradley Blackburn, and I'll explain why.
And next in Health Watch, a look at some programs designed to help people dealing with long COVID. Topping today's Health Watch, a new report says the world is dangerously unprepared to respond to the next pandemic. Researchers with the Nuclear Threat Initiative and Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security released that study today. Surveyed 195 countries and found that 155 of them have failed to invest in preparing for a pandemic or epidemic within the past 3 years. The report also says 70% of those countries have failed to invest in clinics, hospitals, and community health centers. The study singled out the United States, saying it had the lowest possible score on public confidence in the government. With more and more people suffering with long-term COVID, programs are now popping up to help patients receive the comprehensive treatment they need. Dr. Malika Marshall reports.
Didn't really understand.
In March 2020, 47-year-old Phil Bezeski developed fever, a cough, and trouble breathing. When the 47-year-old father of 4 went to the hospital, the doctor didn't mince words.
He said, "You're really sick, and if we don't put you on life support, you're going to die."
Phil had COVID-19, was in pulmonary failure, and given a 10% chance to live. He spent 28 days in the hospital, 16 of them in a coma.
From when I woke up till the day I left, it was a struggle to even just use my hands to feed myself.
More than a year later, Phil still suffers from nerve pain, weakness, fatigue, shortness of breath, anxiety, depression, and brain fog.
It's another pandemic, and it threatens the health of a generation.
Dr. Bruce Levy at Brigham and Women's Hospital says up to 30% of patients with COVID, many with only mild illness, have at least one symptom that persists for 3 to 6 months or more, a condition referred to as long COVID.
Long COVID involves multiple parts of the body, multiple symptoms. And so going to any one doctor is a real challenge to comprehensively evaluate this.
That's why the hospital established a COVID recovery center where patients have their lingering symptoms addressed all in one place.
They get an itinerary for any doctors or other healthcare providers they'll be seeing.
Phil has been coming to the center for a few months.
It's provided me with some hope for the future that, this is what I've been longing for from services, to have someone that really can understand COVID.
He hopes more long COVID patients can also find the help they need. Dr. Malika Marshall, CBS News, Boston.
Other hospitals around the country are also implementing programs for people with long COVID. If you're suffering from lingering COVID symptoms, ask your doctor about programs near you. Flu vaccine rates are lowest for those who don't have health care providers. Research presented at a virtual exhibition for the American Society of Health System Pharmacists shows the vaccination rate is around 20% for those without a regular provider and 44% for those with a provider. The study found blacks and Latinos had lower flu vaccination rates than whites. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about cats and water.
Plus, we're going to start to warm things back up over the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it still turned out to be a chilly day for us today, but at least a little bit warmer than what we have seen over the past couple days, and we're going to continue to warm things up as we go into Thursday, also on Friday. We do have a strong storm system on Friday, and what this is going to do for us is give some showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms, and also a very strong cold front is going to push through. Another system works in by the middle of next week. Of course, you can get my longer range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at our temps right now. Most of us upper 40s to near 50 on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Our temperatures are going to drop back over the next few hours, and then I think we'll bottom out probably at 9 or 10 o'clock this evening. As southerly winds will start to increase, our temperatures may rise as we head toward dawn. So we have a south wind at about 5 to 10, but these are going to increase as we go through the overnight hours. 7th and range line currently outside sitting at 49. South winds at about 5. Humidity is at 44%. Through the evening hours, we drop back into the mid 40s, and then we turn around and start to creep up to near 50 by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is going to actually be quite a bit warmer than what we are seeing today. Pretty much clear skies most of the day. We are starting to get some mid and upper level clouds increasing on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Here's our next little wave. This is mainly going to give us clouds tonight into tomorrow morning. It may give us a random sprinkle or two later on tonight as this wave shifts in, and then we focus on this storm system. It's not even made it to the west coast yet, but this system will affect us by the time we head into Friday. All right, let's go through time. Clouds tonight, temperatures rising toward dawn. Again, we could see a random shower, a few sprinkles late tonight into tomorrow morning. And then we break out. We see mostly sunny skies. We'll be into the 60s by noon. And then by the afternoon, I think we're going to soar all the way up into the upper 60s for highs. 49 to start, 63 by noon. High temp of 67. Look at the south winds. At about 10 to 20, we're going to have gusts above that, 25 upwards of 30 at times. So it is going to be windy for us tomorrow. Clouds increase again for us tomorrow night into Friday morning. Again, we could see a random shower late tomorrow night into Friday morning, and then some scattered showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms trying to pop up Friday afternoon. Most of the rain is going to be to our east, but a very strong cold front is going to roll in Friday evening, so that could give us a few little scattered showers, a few scattered thunderstorms by the time we head into Friday afternoon. Then turning much colder for Sunday or for Saturday, highs only into the upper 40s. We start to warm things back up once again by Sunday. So kind of a roller coaster ride temperature wise over the next several days. 67 tomorrow, 72 on Friday. Again, a few pop-up little showers and thunderstorms. High of only 50 on Saturday, back to 57 by Sunday. So even though the weekend's going to be cooler, overall it looks pretty good.
Yeah, when you hit 60s and maybe 70s in December around here.
It's hard to beat.
You bet. Thanks, Doug. Hey, if you're still looking for a gift for the child in your life, Pittsco in Pittsburgh is trying to help. The company released a holiday gift guide for educators and decided to open it up to families as well. The gifts they're offering are educational and focused on STEM learning.
And coding languages can be scary, but with Bluebot it teaches the foundations of how to think like a coder. And really, it teaches you to think about sequential steps, recognizing patterns, understanding directions, and really getting that foundational knowledge of computational thinking.
Pittsco offers gifts for kids from pre-K through high school. Coming up, U.S. job openings hit a near record high. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Everett Jaco served in the U.S. Navy. The Missouri native was stationed in Vietnam, and we salute Assault Boat Coxswain Everett Jaco, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Instagram CEO was called to Capitol Hill today to testify before a Senate panel investigating the platform's potentially negative impacts on teen users. The CEO says Instagram is already creating age-appropriate experiences for young users and supporting teens who may be struggling, but some lawmakers say those measures fall short. The pandemic has put the job market on a roller coaster. After massive layoffs in 2020, businesses are searching for millions of employees, but many workers are deciding to walk away from their jobs. Bradley Blackburn reports.
Will Lizelle and his fiancée are spending time in Thailand. But this is not your typical trip.
We said, let's just live there for a while. So instead of a 2-week vacation, we're on, a 2-year vacation.
Lizelle saved his money and then quit his job to make the move happen.
I gave him a nice long notice and I was like, look, I got to go do this. I got to learn a little bit about myself and, a little bit about my heritage. And they were super supportive.
The Labor Department says more than 4 million people quit their jobs in October.
I think this great resignation is something that's really been interesting to observe.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the resignations are giving job seekers more opportunities. There were 11 million job openings in October, up 400,000 from September.
I think that many people have been very frustrated with their old jobs for a long time, but didn't think they had alternatives. Well, now they have alternatives and they're taking advantage of those alternatives.
The current climate has corporations trying to attract workers with higher wages and incentives, but many small businesses can't compete. The restaurant industry is one of the hardest hit. Janie Desmond Eisen owns Steamers Cafe in Sacramento, California, and needs more workers.
I've never seen a group of potential employees schedule interviews, either not show up and never tell you, or show up and then you hire them and you never hear from them again.
She's now closing her shop 2 hours early every day because there's not enough staff to stay open. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Hey, some good news for drivers. Prices at the pump are starting to come down. The U.S. Energy Information Administration said in November the national average for a gallon of regular gasoline was $3.39. That's the highest since 2014. But by January, it's expected to drop to about $3 and continue falling. For 2022, the average is expected to be $2.88. This new forecast is based on global oil production outpacing demand next year. Our Pet Vet on Call next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a look at the latest COVID numbers in South Africa. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on proposed legislation to make driver's ed courses required in Missouri. Plus, on Miami High School student signs with a modeling agency out of New York. And details for memorial services for the late Senator Bob Dole are announced. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Certainly a popular perception, cats and water don't mix. But is that fact or just a wives' tale? Well, our question for our Pet Vet on Call tonight is it true that domesticated cats hate water and can they swim?
Well, yeah, it does seem to be mostly true. But then so do a lot of dogs and a lot of people. There's something about not being able to touch the bottom and drowning. That's kind of scary. Then there's also that getting wet all over thing. Cats hate that. So yeah, I think cats hate water. As far as whether or not they can swim, oh yeah, they can swim very well.
Hey, we invite questions from anyone. If you have one, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question for us or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. You can also find answers to previous questions on our website. Now let's check out our picks of the litter for the week from the Joplin Humane Society. We can't guarantee they'll cooperate during bath time, but we've chosen this adult black female cat named Yarrow and this female Labrador Retriever mixed puppy named Scarlet. If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? Cats are pretty clean, bath or not. They do the whole paw cleaning thing.
They clean themselves.
You bet. The weather.
Looks pretty good. We're going to drop back into the mid-40s for us tonight. A lot of clouds. May get a random sprinkle late tonight, but 67 tomorrow, 72 on Friday. We are going to get a few scattered showers, maybe a random thunderstorm, and then cooling right back down just in time for the weekend.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.